Have you ever looked at a diamond ring and just wondered, why is this shiny rock the ultimate symbol of love? Why does it cost an absolute fortune? And what if I told you that the whole story we've been sold, well, it might just be one of the most brilliant illusions ever created.
Welcome to Bright Bites. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on what is, no joke, one of the greatest marketing stories in history. We're going to dig into how a pretty common gemstone was completely transformed into this must-have symbol of eternal love and serious wealth. It's an incredible story.
And that brings us to the central question, right? Why are diamonds so insanely expensive when they aren't even rare? Seriously, geologically speaking, they're actually one of the more common gems out there. So what gives? How on earth did this happen?
Let's start with the myth itself. When you hear the word diamond, what pops in your head? Rarity, right? Luxury, unbreakable love. It's become this non-negotiable part of getting engaged. But here's the thing. That whole perception, it wasn't some happy accident. Oh no. It was designed very, very carefully.
To really get this, we have to talk about one company, a name you've probably heard, De Beers. They are the absolute key to this whole thing. They figured out how to create this massive illusion of scarcity, right at the very moment the world was about to be flooded with diamonds.
All right, let's jump back in time to the late 1800s. All of a sudden, huge diamond mines are discovered in South Africa. And you'd think, great, more diamonds for everyone. But a businessman named Cecil Rhodes saw a huge problem. You know, basic economics. If supply goes way up, the price goes way down. Diamonds would become cheap. So his solution? It was simple and honestly kind of audacious. He decided to just control all of it. He started buying up every mine he could get his hands on, and by 1888, he'd formed De Beers and created a global diamond cartel.
And I want you to really get the scale of this operation. At their peak, De Beers controlled something like 90% of the entire world's supply of rough diamonds. 90%! That's not just a big company, that's a full-blown monopoly. An empire built on a sparkly rock. They got to decide everything: who gets diamonds, how many get sold, and this is the big one: what everyone was going to pay for them.
So here's the core of their strategy, something called artificial scarcity. It's brilliant, really. De Beers would dig up tons and tons of diamonds, but instead of selling them, they just hoard on them. We're talking about massive vaults in London just filled to the brim with diamonds. Then they just trickle them out, releasing only enough to meet demand and keep those prices sky high. They didn't find rarity, they manufactured it.
Okay, so controlling the supply? That was only part one of the master plan. Because what's the point of having a mountain of expensive stones if no one wants to buy them? And you might find this hard to believe, but before the 1930s, giving a diamond engagement ring just wasn't really a thing. De Beers was about to invent a tradition from thin air.
And it all came down to four little words, written in 1947 by a copywriter named Francis Giretti. A diamond is forever. Just think about that for a second. It's pure genius. It takes this rock that's physically hard to destroy and perfectly links it to the idea of a love that can't be broken. A love that lasts forever. It's the perfect slogan.
But they didn't just stop at the slogan. Oh no. They started putting out ads that literally told people how much they should spend. You've probably heard it before, the 2-month salary rule. They just made that up. It was a brilliant way to set a price floor in people's minds. And it worked like a charm. Diamond sales in the US shot up 50% in just a few years. A tradition was literally born in a marketing meeting.
Their next move? A total masterclass in what you could call cultural engineering. They started gifting diamonds to the biggest movie stars of the day. They got them placed in movies, so now every time you saw a big romantic moment on screen, bam, there's a diamond. Before you know it, you've got Marilyn Monroe singing "Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend," and suddenly a diamond was the ultimate symbol of glamour and success.
Now, for decades, this system seemed completely bulletproof. De Beers had the world in its grasp. But, like all empires, eventually cracks started to show. In the late 20th century, huge new diamond mines were found in places like Russia, Australia, and Canada. And guess what? These new players weren't so keen on playing by De Beers' old rules. The monopoly was finally starting to weaken.
And as that control slipped, some of the other powerful myths started to crumble too. Like this big one, that diamonds are the most valuable gemstone on the planet. They're just not. Take a look at this. A really top-notch ruby can be worth more than twice as much as a diamond of the same size. The idea that diamond is king? Once again, it all comes back to marketing, not reality.
Okay, and how about the idea that a diamond is a good investment?
This might be the biggest deception of them all. The second you buy a diamond and walk out of the store, its value can drop by as much as 50%, instantly. That's because of the huge retail markup and the fact that De Beers worked hard to make sure there wasn't a good way to resell them. A strong resale market would have totally messed with their control over supply.
Now fast forward to today, and the biggest threat to the whole diamond story comes from science. I'm talking about lab-grown diamonds. These are, in every single way, chemically, physically, optically, identical to a mined diamond. The only real difference is one came out of the ground and one came out of a lab. And you can make as many as you want. De Beers' move here was fascinating. At first they fought it, but then they did a classic pivot. They started their own lab-grown brand and priced them way lower, basically trying to control that new market too.
So, when you strip it all away, what are we left with? The story of why a diamond is so expensive has almost nothing to do with geology. It has everything to do with psychology, perception, and what is, hands down, one of the most successful marketing campaigns of all time.
So let's just run through the main points one more time. Fact 1, diamonds are not actually rare. Fact 2, their high price is the result of a century of artificial scarcity created by a monopoly. Fact 3, that feeling that a diamond equals love, that was put there by an ad campaign. The bottom line is, a diamond's value is built on a powerful story, not on its actual rarity.
So that leaves us with one last question for you. The next time you see a diamond, what are you going to see? Just a piece of shiny, compressed carbon? A genuine symbol of love and commitment? Or the dazzling result of the greatest marketing story ever told? The fascinating thing is, maybe it can be all three at once. Thanks so much for hanging out with us on Bright Bites today. If you're never going to look at a jewelry store the same way again, definitely hit that like button and drop a comment below. And make sure you subscribe so you don't miss our next deep dive into the hidden stories all around us. We'll see you next time.